Well, Georgia has passed one of the most restrictive abortion policies in the country. The state's Republican Governor Brian Kemp signed the so-called fetal heartbeat bill this morning. Kemp says that his state will always fight for life, even in the face of legal challenges.
Some oppose this legislation. I realize that some may challenge it in the court of law. But our job is to do what is right, not what is easy.
The law will ban abortions once a heartbeat is detected in the womb, and that usually happens within 5 to 6 weeks of conception, often before a woman even knows that she's pregnant. CBS News reporter Kate Smith has been following the story closely and joins me now. Kate, I'm curious, what are abortion rights advocates saying about this?
They're saying that this is a complete ban on abortions in the state. It is worse than a 6-week ban. That's because, just as you said, most women don't know that they're pregnant by the time in Georgia they would have already outlawed the procedure. So it has huge implications for women in the state.
I'm hearing that some people in Hollywood, some stars, are boycotting working in Georgia. I mean, is that going to have any sort of real impact?
That could have a huge economic impact. So back when this bill was passed by both the Senate and the House in the state, Alyssa Milano started a petition, and she got almost 200, I think actually more than 200 signatures from people like Amy Schumer, Alec Baldwin, saying that they would refuse to work in the state if this does get signed into law. Now, of course, that only happened this morning, so we're waiting to see what happens. But like you said, if they lose the entertainment industry in Georgia, that could have huge economic ramifications. They have spent billions of dollars in tax incentives to get that industry there.
Really?
So if it up and leaves, it would leave, I think they said, about 600,000 Georgians without a job.
Wow. I never realized how much Hollywood films in the state of Georgia until
Yes.
you said that. So this law won't go into effect until 2020.
Correct.
What happens then?
At that point in time, any woman, like you mentioned, after 5 or 6 weeks, whenever a fetal heartbeat is detected, would not be allowed to get an abortion. Now, there are exceptions for rape and incest, and then also when a woman's life is in jeopardy. But one also small piece about this bill that I'd love to highlight is that it also criminalizes the act.
Criminalize the act of abortion.
Correct. So if it happens after 6 weeks and a doctor does it, they could be on the line for a felony charge of murder if they do this. So not only is it super restrictive for women in the state, it also for the medical community is very damaging and, puts them at risk of potentially opening themselves up to criminal charges.
You've reported on what's called trigger laws when it comes to abortion rights. What are they? And can you give us a sense of how Georgia's law is different?
Sure. So trigger laws are basically a way of states to make sure that their laws are protected in the event that Roe v. Wade is overturned. So if tomorrow that happens, in certain states that have trigger laws, there's about 6 right now, I believe, automatically abortion is illegal in the state. It's a way of making sure instantly.
Okay.
It's a way of making sure that there can't be a pro-abortion rights advocacy group to get in there and protect it. Now this one's different. So it's a just-in-case law, right? This one's different because they actually plan on implementing this law. Right. So in January.
Explain that to me.
Yeah.
How can they implement it if you have Roe v. Wade? The Supreme Court has weighed in on Roe v. Wade, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. I mean, this law is, at the risk of sounding partisan, it's just not constitutional. The Roe v. Wade protects a woman's right to abortion up until fetal viability. That's 24 or 25 weeks. This is 6 weeks. So it's really at odds with what federally we have determined to be what is legal and protected for women. So, I mean, a lot of advocates have said this is just blatantly unconstitutional.
So the folks in the legislature who are pushing for this, what's their goal? Like to ultimately get this up to the Supreme Court? Is that really the point of this?
I think it's twofold. They would love to see a fetal heartbeat ban in the state. They would love to ban abortions at 5 or 6 weeks in the state. That is the purpose of this law. But like you're saying, it does have that secondary purpose because there will obviously be a lawsuit challenging this. That it will obviously be challenged, be upheld by a judge, and go back and forth, and potentially make its way up to the Supreme Court. Now, this is the only way that you can actually overturn Roe v. Wade is by passing laws like this, having them go through the court system. So it is the potential first step to have that happen later down the road.
Kate, I want to thank you so much, and for your reporting. You've stayed on top of this beat for quite some time. I've enjoyed reading the progress of where this is going with your reporting. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate.